every coach I've ever met are some of the best multitaskers that I've ever been around. And so they're capable of doing and shifting gears. Very much think it's great for the fans to hear from the coach during the competition.
What have you thought of Brock Hoffman running with the ones so far in camp?
I think he's holding him off in a very impressive way. Brock Hoffman was, when we were discussing our offensive line during the spring and looking for the draft and looking at free agency, his name came up, said, boy, don't discount him. He's really impressive, and he is evolving. He's getting better and better and better. Well, you're seeing that. And I think he is a starting center in the NFL.
Well, if you're Brock Hoffman, I'm sure you're very happy about that endorsement from Cowboys owner and GM Jerry Jones. But his play is certainly, it speaks for itself. Welcome into Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, Nicole, Hutchison, and Kyle Youmans. Now, Kyle, Brock Hoffman obviously has been pretty solid. One of the consistent things about this Cowboys offensive line. What have you liked so far, especially in practice, joint practice with the Rams so far?
Yeah, I really like the way that he communicates at the line of scrimmage. You and I were watching one of the red zone portions of camp where Brock Hoffman was communicating blitz packages, what was happening in front of him. He was relaying that information with Dak Prescott along the way. So I really liked what I saw from Brock Hoffman communication-wise. That's going to come with being in this offense for his second year. He spent last year, played 156 snaps at the center position. He's played it before, whereas Cooper Beebe is still learning some of those pickups, still learning that communication. And then, we've talked about the snaps from Cooper Beebe, and that center battle continues to develop. Beebe is getting better. The snaps are getting better. They're just not perfect yet. And right now, I think Brock Hoffman's been as close to perfect in terms of snapping as you could possibly want from the center position. So you pair that with his strength, his toughness up front. He's shown some of that ability, and he did so against the Rams on Thursday, and he's continued to do that throughout camp here in Oxnard.
How crucial is that quarterback and center communication?
Oh, it's everything.
Yeah.
You ask everybody, every quarterback that's ever played in the NFL, and, of course, your communication needs to be there from a wide receiver standpoint, from a tight end standpoint, but really your center is just as important in the exchange that happens. And you hear the cliche all the time, centers are one of the only players, actually they're the only player to touch the ball on every single play.
Yeah.
And, quarterbacks are very close second. However, that communication back and forth is crucial to an offense. Timing and everything else doesn't happen if the center isn't on the same page.
Brock Hoffman's sturdy for this offensive line, but you talk about the rest of those guys as a little bit of a struggle, right? Tyler Guyton obviously missing practice still due to illness. But when you talk about Awesome Richards and Chuma Edoga sharing the reps at left tackle, what did you think about those guys?
Well, I think right now that position's wide open for Tyler Guyton to step in and be your starting left tackle, because if Chuma Edoga isn't taking advantage of the reps, if Awesome Richards, I think he's done a nice job of elevating his stock throughout training camp. He's done some good things throughout the month of practice, but he's still not there on the same level as you would want to see from a starting left tackle. So Tyler Guyton missing practice. He's limited the last couple of days, still trying to work back into a full regiment of first training camp practice reps. And I think once he does get back into that full regiment, we're going to see it in the preseason. We're going to see him in the second preseason game. And then by the time the first week of the regular season comes around, I bet you he's that starting left tackle moving forward.
Well, this offensive line is pivotal in this offense taking a leap, in this run game taking a leap in 2024. But who will they be blocking for? Is it the Cowboys' franchise third leading rusher, Ezekiel Elliott, or is it Rico Dowdle? Find out up next.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Just 2 days until the first preseason game, but there's still a lot of questions of Who could be carrying most of the load at running back, or will it be split reps? Will the guys be sharing the load, and will it be a running back by committee? Cowboys owner and GM Jerry Jones seems to be thinking that Ezekiel Elliott is separating himself from the rest of the pack.
Well, I like the big runs I saw today were number 15, excuse me, here. But seriously, I like where we are. I like the numbers that we're working with. And so I can flat go to war with this bunch.
Now, Kyle, I've got to ask you, do you think that it'll be a running back by a committee approach like Mike McCarthy had been preaching about this offseason, or do you think Ezekiel Elliott is running away with it?
Yeah, I think the confidence builder from Jerry Jones there is the fact that he likes what he sees from Rico Dowdle. He likes what he sees from Ezekiel Elliott. But I think by the end of the day, it will be a running back by committee. You're going to see some significant snaps because if you ask me the question, who's your third down back right now?
No question.
If it's a short yardage situation, I'm giving the ball to Ezekiel Elliott. If it's maybe 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, maybe a little bit longer, I'm going to give the ball to Rico Dowdle. So it depends on the situation. And if it depends on the situation, that means it's a running back by committee. It will be a little bit different as the season goes along. One of those two guys will have an opportunity to separate themselves, just like they've done here on the practice field. There are 8 bodies in that room right now fighting for 3, maybe 4 spots if you count Hunter Lipke at the fullback position. But right now it's Zeke, it's Rico Dowdle, and it's a rest of the group mentality whenever it comes to the running back room.
What are your thoughts on Hunter Lipke so far, especially after the joint practice with the Rams?
Well, I think right now you're building confidence for a guy going into year number 2. Of course, he was an undrafted free agent, though a highly touted one coming out of North Dakota State last year. He had the one fumble, that one bugaboo in the later part of the season against Miami at the goal line. From that point forward, he didn't touch the rock. He didn't have another carry. He's getting his carries out here. They've used him in the offense. They've used him in the red zone. They've used him at goal line scenarios. That's where his bread and butter will be made. Now, I do like the way he's blocking. I do like the way he's picking up in pass protection. And those are some things that Ezekiel Elliott left behind last year's ball club. Now you have both of those guys in the backfield that have that ability. It gives you some flexibility, especially in short yardage and red zone situations.
Well, while the running back situation is still being figured out, Eric Kendricks is making his presence known to other running backs. How about that? Eric Kendricks, we're talking about him up next.
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
We're here to wrap things up on Inside Cowboys Training Camp presented by Ford. And like Kendrick Lamar says, sometimes you got to pop out and show people. But Eric Kendricks is certainly popping out and showing the Rams, laying out Kyron Williams. See what I did there? Hey, Missing Kyle. I mean, you got to talk about Eric Kendricks and the impact that he's made on this defense so far.
I see what you did there. You went from Kendrick to Kendricks.
Absolutely.
In the way that he was able to play. He had some bars out on the field. Now, the
I
way
like
the way that Kendricks has really taken this second level by storm is the reading and the reacting, because he's not hitting players yet. He did lay a lick on Kyron Williams in the joint practice. But the way that you see these linebackers develop, or the way that they're cognitively seeing the football, seeing the way that the play develops. And there were a couple times where he was in the backfield quickly. He was sifting his way through traffic, and I think the guys around him are picking it up. Maris Leofau has done a great job in that regard. DeMarvion Overshone stepped up a couple times to plug and stop the run. There were multiple times where you looked at that linebacking core against the Rams in the joint practice, and you saw some rotational depth and you saw some cerebral depth at the same time. I really like what Kendricks is bringing to that linebacking room right now.
Well, Eric Kendricks certainly brings that veteran experience, and it's allowed the younger guys like a Damone Clark to play very freely, and DeMarvion Overshone as well. But hopefully we get a chance to see more of that in the preseason game. Check your local listings to watch a 3 p.m. kickoff between the Cowboys and the LA Rams.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.